YouTube. I'm not promoting firearms, ammunition, or weaponry. I'm discussing a problem that is happening where people's perceptions of what firearms really mean is causing a problem. Okay? All right. Massive demand, hoarding, and what they don't say in this news article that's on WUSA 9, conspiracy theories. What's causing the shortage? Or the government's, quote, responsible versus the government's buying up all the ammo versus the government's spreading rumors that you repeat on Facebook. Again, this video isn't about selling ammunition or promoting violence or weaponry. I'm having a heart-to-heart talk with anybody out there that wants to listen about not spreading rumors and not believing conspiracy theories, or more accurately, sales literature. We're going to do some reality checking. 12-gauge cartridges on a website being sold at $95 for 250 rounds. We're going to use 250 rounds as a baseline because I'm able to do it. Just remember, 95 at 250 rounds. 250 rounds of 20 gauge, $125. 250 rounds of 16 gauge is about $170 if you do the math. 28 gauge for the same number of rounds is about $180. 410 is $500 for the same amount of rounds as you would do for 12 gauge. It's 5 times as expensive or more. Okay? This is the economy of scale thing. How common are these cartridges? Now, I'm using a different website because it had almost the same kind of ratios, just slightly different order. 12 gauge ammo, we have 5,000 products. 20 gauge, we have about 600. 28 gauge, we only have 400. We're already at 10 to 1 reduction. 350 products for 16 gauge. 10 gauge shows up. We didn't see that before, but it exists. 410 at 100 products instead of 5,000. Now we have almost a 40 or 50 to 1 ratio reduction to 410. Then we have 24 gauge for some reason only having 5 products. And we have 32 gauge, which is such an obscure round that it's actually a misnamed round. No, it really is a misnamed cartridge. It's not the right name for it. But that's what happens in the scheme of things. 12 gauge ammunition is not hard to find. Now I want to bring up the price range here. It's not on my screen because the website kept auto-reloading and trying to cram my computer. LuckyGunner.com. Turn off your bots. Turn it off. That's actually why this is the second or third copy of a video I'm making here. Rifle rounds, cartridges that you would fire out of a rifle like 223 and 7.62 for the AR-15 and the AK-47. Quote-unquote military-style rifle cartridges used in civilianized versions that people sometimes politicize. Were cheaper than all of this. And are just as reloadable. Maybe even more so, depending on where you look. 9mm was more expensive than rifle rounds this month. About a year ago, I did a video about what was the cheapest round, period. It was 9mm. What's the cheapest to reload? 9mm, period. What's the cheapest round to make from scratch from reloading components? 9mm. For handgun ammunition, the only thing cheaper, but not reloadable, is 22 long rifle, rimfire cartridge. Availability. Let's see if this sounds like an old broken record. 22 long rifle is used more, so they make more. It also happens to be massively cheap. The price tags here are almost a straight line across. 22 Magnum, which there's, a fourth the number available. They're cheap as too. They're really cheap. 17 HMR varieties are much more expensive. The 22 short is much less available and much more expensive. 22 long, or extra long, by the way, on other websites, was also hard to find and really expensive. The 22 short, if you're not aware of it, is used in handguns because in the same space from the back of the cartridge to the muzzle, where the bullet comes out, you can pack a small bullet, a small cartridge, and have a lot more barrel length and a little bit more accuracy for the same length of gun for 22 short versus 22 long rifle or Magnum. People made a lot of them. So 22 short is still popular, but it's exclusively used for handguns. Okay, I would totally make a rifle out of it, but the point is, It's almost exclusively used for handguns. And these are also used for handguns, but they have a lack of stability. But if you're shooting at something 100 yards away, you should be using a rifle. If it's self-defense, I doubt that you need the range. And then we get 9mm Flowbert and 5mm. That's weird, but it showed up. This is a website that, if you're not aware of, it's called bulkcheapammo.com. I'm only using it to find out what's available. I'm not showing any price tags here because I don't care. The point is, there isn't a run on this stuff. It's not hard to find. It's not even really being hoarded. Yes, it's a lot less plentiful. Excuse me, wrong button. It's a lot less plentiful than the 12-gauge ammo. But when you look up the 9mm ammo on the same website, there's a lot of it. But it's more expensive than rifle, shotgun, or .22 long rifle ammo. It's what people demand. It's what drives the situation. And the more demand there is in something that's consistent, the lower the prices and the more choices. And the less likely you're going to have, I'm going to repeat that, you're going to have less of a ammo shortage if you consistently and not fluctuatingly access the ammo. Yes, the price tag for the .22 long rifle is double what it was in the, quote, good old days 10 years ago. Yeah, of course it is. But it's only double. It's 10 cents a round or 5 cents a round, depending on where you buy it still. Shotgun shells, if you're not aware of how to do the math here, you end up with them being around 50 cents a round. The 9mm was 60 cents a round, and the rifle ammo was 40 cents a round. Okay, now I'm going to go back here and I'm going to discuss this. What is actually the real cause of there being a presumption of an ammo shortage and that presumption causing the ammo shortage? Some people dare say conspiracy theories. I dare say salesmanship. It's the ammunition companies. They're more likely, they have a direct meaning for it, again, causing an ammo shortage meme to sell more ammo. Second on the list, is it really the government able to do that? They don't have to, because the people buying the ammo, the gun enthusiasts, are spreading the same rumor, because you know you did. Go look on your Facebook pages and wherever you talk and see if you spread this rumor in 2011 or 2010 or anytime a Democrat even mentioned guns, or in 2011 along with the toilet paper shortage. Or 2021. Now this is where I'm going to have a heart-to-heart talk with people who are presumed not to have a heart. In Australia, people would demonize firearms owners that were complete FUDs. That's a person who is inoffensive and tries to fly under the radar of gun control arguments. Even the FUDs in Australia were demonized as baby killers because there was a shooting incident. Gun confiscation happened, and then people had to, if they wanted to keep any guns or all of their guns, they had to go through all the hoops, and a lot of them did. There's a shit ton of people in Australia that own firearms. But they don't go on Facebook and talk about it. They don't wave a freak flag about it. They're just people who own firearms, and it's a hobby. They go out and shoot targets. And in some of them are able to carry a firearm for self-defense. Same thing in Britain. No difference. But people demonize them. In the United States, people demonize them, but if you're not aware, in the United States, there's 300 million people, 333 or whatever million people, and there's more than that in firearms. The ammunition is almost exclusively purchased by private consumers because the government buys and hoards ammo in bursts every once in a while and does it through a contractor that's only selling to them. It's custom ammo. It's a specific type. That's why 5.56 is a specific designation that includes how fast it's supposed to go and the weight of the bullet. They want to keep it consistent so they can train their soldiers to hit the same target each time, even with a shitty bulk-produced gun that's used in the military. Not 223, which is almost but not exactly the same thing, that has huge variations in it. And you can customize your loadout any way you want to, and it's practically a toy that people play with. It's a hobby just having an AR-15 and 223 cartridges. Meanwhile, quote-unquote true 5.56 means that everything's standard, government issue, and you're not allowed to change anything because that way one guy can pick up a rifle off the battlefield and hit the same target without having to change the sights. The training becomes uniform. That was the original purpose behind it anyway. It's not enforced, but you get the idea. Now, what has gone wrong with all this? Okay, now this is where I want you all to stop typing and think for a minute. Have you ever reposted a conspiracy theory or dog whistled it or joked about it, like putting in Boogaloo? Have you ever done it at all, in any way, to where people would look that up and find out what you were talking about? Did you go out of your way to tell everybody that ever met you that you might be a conspiracy theorist? Did you do that? Now, I'm going to break something to you that I've said before. 90%, or okay, I'm going to say 60%, because these days it isn't the foreigners. 60% in the past, or currently, of conspiracy theories that affect gun owners in the United States and any other country where they're allowed to have firearms are spread by the people who want to make sure they're disarmed. They will say anything to make you look crazy, and anything to make you act crazy, and anything to make it to where people who aren't firearms enthusiasts want to restrict gun ownership. The state of Oregon that I live in has just decided that buying a gun requires a permit. So me making a gun is my only choice because I don't like that. And me making my own ammunition eventually will be a requirement. A while ago I did a video on the fact that at the time 9mm was the cheapest ammunition to buy, and cheapest to reload, and cheapest to make from scratch from parts. That may have changed. Doesn't matter. It's my motivation. And now my motivation includes, now I'm going to have to learn how to make a muzzle loader, because eventually they're going to start coming after people who make firearms, and muzzle loaders aren't firearms, according to the law. In the state of Oregon. A pioneer state. Go figure. That was not caused by the liberals. That was caused by shootings. That was caused by shootings done by people who were paranoid schizophrenics and got a hold of a gun. That was also caused by some of them, not all of them, that were conspiracy theory fans off the internet who were crazy looking. Who benefits by you looking crazy if you're a gun owner? The people who want to take your guns away? It must be the libtards, or it's the government that doesn't give a shit? Or does? Or is it the opponents you claim that you want to, quote, defend your country against? Remember, some of you now talk about firearms being guaranteed by the Second Amendment so you can go to war against a foreign government or your own. Do you want to keep sounding like that? Meanwhile, all the FUDs talk about reloading so that they don't have to deal with ammo shortages and flying under the radar, because as long as they don't act crazy, they're hoping nobody outlaws their guns like they've done in Britain and fucking Australia. Do any of you get that every time you go on the net and dog whistle this shit, you're shooting yourself in the dick? So here's my advice. Learn to reload. Stop carrying around a gun that scares people. Be a FUD. Be a covert rather than an overt owner. Stop talking about the government in any way for the rest of your lives, and tell everybody else to stop doing it as well. Deal with the laws the way they are, and quietly organize and vote against them and try to get them removed from the law. Like in the state of Oregon, we put a law in the books, we can remove it by doing the same thing. It just barely passed. I'm pretty sure it'll get torn down eventually. But even if it doesn't, last stage, besides learning to reload and being a FUD and hiding, learn how to make your own firearms and ammo, if necessary from scratch, and stop trying to be political. It didn't work. The politicians aren't helping you. The NRA isn't doing jack shit. They support all sorts of crap. And by the way, look, just stop buying expensive, hard to find cartridges. 22 long rifle and 12 gauge shotgun shells and 380 if you're not aware of it, 9mm. And yeah, 223 and 5.56 are very popular. But don't get anything that looks like an AK-47 or an AR. By the way, have you noticed that the big scary gun isn't anymore the M whatever, which is what the AR is based on? Or vice versa. They just talk about the AR-15 civilianized one. Right? That's my advice. Take it or leave it. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. And again, stop repeating crap that makes you look crazy, because you're going to be treated like you're crazy according to the law.